Greetings from Bellevue, Tennessee. This is Matt Osmond with Blinky's Offset Barbecue, and you're listening to The Barbecue Central.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
And welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show where we talk about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from Rock and Roll Hall of Fame City, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, she was on middle, end of July. She's back again. It is not live fire cooking related necessarily, but my second most passionate passion at the moment, the VP of marketing at McAuliffe Cigars, my favorite brand. Amanda McAuliffe rejoins the show. We're going to be talking about the recently released green line in the color series. Of course, we know that the first one was black, and then there was red, could be blue, black. Well, here's what we do know. Released in no particular order, black, red, blue, purple, and now green. I've not gotten my hands on green yet. I believe I actually have a box on the way. So if you are somebody that is a lover of the leaf, as I am, you would like a sample of a green McAuliffe, reach out to me through email. In the subject line, put McAuliffe green or green McAuliffe, whatever you like. And whenever those hit the deck here, I will make sure that I get them off to you. Caveat, I say this like as soon as I get them, I'll get them right out to you. While I have your information, there's a very good chance it might be a week or two before I actually get them to the post office. It's not that I don't want to send them to you. It's just that I know where I set my expectation, so I'm just trying to set your expectation accordingly. But I will get them to you as I do each and every time, but a new series is out, the green series and the color line. So anxious to try that, see how it stacks up against all the rest. I think currently it's 1A, 1B, and it's usually the one I'm smoking. Black and red is being my favorite. And then if I'm smoking the red, I would say, okay, well, that's probably my most favorite. But then when I'm smoking the black, I say, well, that is my most favorite. And then blue probably comes in, then purple, and then green yet to be determined. But that's just my palate. Your palate could reflect a completely different favorite lineup, of course, and there's no right, there's no wrong. You trust your palate. What tastes good to you is correct, just like as we talk about here in the barbecue world. You want to stick to the 3-2-1 method like Susie did. Last time she was on, doubled down on 3-2-1 being the greatest rib method for her. I completely disagree with that. Those are hammered ribs by every definition of what hammered barbecue would look like. 2 hours in foil is yielding a product that is not something I'm digging, but it's something Susie's digging. Todd didn't necessarily like it, but again, you trust your palate. What tastes good to you, what's right to you is indeed right, and that's that. So if you're interested, send me the email, Green Series or Green Line or Green McAuliffe, whatever you want to do. Make sure you put your shipping info in there so when I actually get to the post office, I'll have all that at hand and I will ship them out to you, and then I will wait for your feedback. So Amanda McAuliffe coming up in about 8 minutes from now, and then 35 past the hour, we'll turn it over to your humble host where we can talk about the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. And on the heels of the last question that I've been asking for the last number of months, I have a little story to recap about that, a little info to break, so stay tuned for that. That'll bring a close to the first hour, and then we will move to the second hour. And we will be breaking format in the second hour because as we have ushered in a new class of Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Famers this past Tuesday, a week ago this evening, in the 10 o'clock hour, we've already lined up a Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Famer of 2025 to do what? What's the one thing we love almost as much as putting in a new class of Hall of Famers? We love the following origin stories that we're getting from those new inductees to the Hall of Fame class. So we are starting right off with none other than the pitmaster of Clark Crew Barbecue, perhaps one of the most successful competition barbecue cooks of all time, regardless of sanctioning body, Travis Clark. Yes, Travis Clark. So we're going to jump right at 10. We're not going to go 10:14. There's not going to be top of the second hour stuff where I alert you to what's going to be on the Best Moment show. I can tell you that the Best Moment show this week is going to be great. I'll probably talk about it in the 35 past the first hour here in the... I get ahead of my thoughts there. I'll probably talk about it 35 past the first hour, but as we get into that second hour, I would say very close to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Travis Clark will be on the show, and we will run the balance of the hour. If we don't need the full hour, we will not take the full hour. If we need more than the full hour, because we do not have a hard stop, it is my show, I own it, and I own the time, we will go over that hour-long allotment that I have for Travis Clark. But no rules. We'll see how it plays out, and then we'll go from there. So Travis Clark starting directly at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, and we will get the origin story of one Travis Clark, Clark Crew Barbecue, how that all came to be, what he did before he even did barbecue. He had a whole nother life, whole nother wife before we got into what he's into now, present-day Travis in 2025, who's quite an accomplished businessman. And I don't know if he thought this is where he would be all these years down the road after he got into barbecue, or if he thought he would just be still chasing down the competition circuit at this point, still ripping Team of the Year trophies. Who knows? But I would bet dollars to donuts that Travis didn't see him as a multiple property restaurant owner from the barbecue side, and then also jumping into business on the sports bar side of things, and probably, was it 9, 10, maybe a dozen different of these sports bars that he's gotten into as well with somebody else. So very successful in that whole regard. So really interested to get that whole picture painted. Sure, if you go back to the first time I had Travis Clark on, one of the first questions was like, how do you get into competition barbecue in the first place? I think he's told that story a number of times before, but we don't have the look back on, well, what did you do even before you got into competition barbecue? That's why everybody loves the origin stories, because you're getting the full scope, the full look behind when were you born, where did you live, what was home life like, brothers and sisters, relationship with parents, college goings. Did you not? first jobs out of college or first job period. Maybe you didn't go to college. You don't have to go to college anymore, at least if you're not going to specialize. So really looking forward to digging in and having that origin story with Travis Clark here. Don't forget, we do have a YouTube poll question of the week as I'm quickly running out of time. I'm asking everybody this, including all guests. Did we get the 2025 Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame class correct last week? And currently 91% of you are saying no. What's with the other 9%? Poll questions from last week. Do you own a ceramic cooker of some type? Yes or no? And 61% of you said indeed no. You are not a ceramic cooker owner of any type, either currently or in the past. All right, Amanda McAuliffe is in the green room. We'll get to her in just 1 second. We'll stay on topic with our Primo Grills read here because guess what? They are a ceramic cooker. They are of my preference. I love the oval. You know I'm using it all the time. I have gone past and proven, dispelled, debunked the myth that it takes a long time to get a charcoal cooker up to speed, and by speed I mean temperature. And if you have some specialty equipment on your side, you can get up to cooking temperature much more quickly than you even think. Get that Grill Blazer grill gun, and you fire that up in the Primo, I would say in the next 15 minutes. You're literally ready, you're nimble, you can do whatever you want. Big believer in those deflector plates, but you don't have to. You can use one deflector plate on one side. You can leave the whole left-hand side open if you want. You tell me what the best way to cook on your Primo ceramic cooker is. I can tell you this, only sold through dealers, so you have to find one near you. Go to primogrill.com, check out their dealer locator portion, and then go to that dealer live and in person, touch and feel all the ovals, and away you go. As I might recommend each and every week, XL at a minimum, if you want 25% more, I believe. Double XL Primo. A little more on the price as well, but look, it's two cookers in one. So while you might worry a little bit about price tag, don't worry. Say to that significant other that's giving you the business about how much that is, say, hey, honey of whatever you are, it's two grills in one. It's a low and slow cooker. It's a mid-range. It's a high-heat grill. Maybe it's three cookers in one. Who knows? You tell me. PrimoGrill.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. We're back with Amanda McAuliffe right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the all-new wireless Fireboard Pulse. When you use the Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the world as long as you have the connection and your devices are on your local area network. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Diane Me saying get a Harbor Freight propane torch. Those work very well. Cheaper than the grill torch, by the way. My first guest tonight is the Vice President of Marketing, McAuliffe Cigars, here to talk about their latest release and what else they might have coming down the pike before 2025 comes to a close. We welcome second-time guest, Amanda McAuliffe, to the show. Hey, Amanda, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fabulous, Amanda. Appreciate you taking time again here this evening. So we'll be talking about some cigar stuff this evening, of course, but we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. And I'm just throwing it out there. I don't expect you to be a show aficionado, but you got the last one right when July, knowing the Taste Made Network, which I didn't know anybody knew. So did we get the 2025 Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Fame class correct last week?
That I don't know. I can't speak to that with any authority. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm going to go with yes.
Oh,
you got it right.
All right. We love that. So 92% of the folks that are watching on YouTube are saying that indeed we did get the Barbecue Central Show's class of 2025 correct. I was just telling everybody, filling time, that one of my guests, who's a weekly guest, had trouble 2 months ago. And when he came on last week, or whatever his last time was on, he said, it looked like I might be having trouble again through Chrome, so I opened up Edge, and it worked. So that's the only reason I even thought to have you
I'm
go
glad
over.
you did, because I always use Chrome, so when I've joined in the past, I must have come in the same way. And you gave me ample chance to test it, and I was like, no, we've done this. So I'm so sorry.
No, not at all.
But
I mean,
I'm glad you thought to mention that, because
this is what
that
happened.
worked great.
This is what happened. So good. All right. So let's just jump right into it before we get to the green line here with the green cigar, the latest release from McAuliffe. A couple weeks ago, you were at the New England Cigar Expo.
Yes.
So just from a high level, as somebody that attended, as I don't know if they classify you as exhibitor or a manufacturer, whatever it is, what's it like to attend that event?
It's so much fun. We do a lot with Two Guys Cigars, which are the hosts of the New England Cigar Expo. They're super organized. I do lots of multi-vendor event, and when you're coming in as a brand or a manufacturer, it's great to work with people who've really thought about the experience from both the exhibitor standpoint and the participant standpoint. And I think they built an event that works really, really well for both. Their format is a lot of fun because they start out with a dinner on Friday night, and there's no intention to sell anything that night. It's really just a way for people to be able to talk to the principals from various companies and get to know each other. And then they always sort of have a big fun prize that you can win with this game that goes throughout the evening. But it's great because since no one is trying to sell anybody anything, it really is a time to just get to know people, and you meet people from all over the country. And then Saturday, the sales event starts, which is also a lot of fun because the selling is all actually happening in the pit in the middle. And so even still, by the time people get over to us, they really are just picking up their gift with purchase or being able to take pictures or say hi. So, I love that event because I really get to spend a lot of time with people who either already know and love McAuliffe or who want to know more about the cigars, but I'm not trying to, I don't have to do this, the spiel, if you will, of like, buy this, get that kind of thing. It's really much more, I can connect with people a lot better. It's not too crowded. So they also think about that. So if for people who are considering going, I can't recommend it more. It's a really, really great weekend.
Does it totally bomb your clothes though?
Yeah, I mean, so here's my secret. I try any events I go to, I travel with those giant 2.5 gallon Ziploc bags, one for every day. And everything bombs my clothes. So I go immediately into the hotel room. All the clothes go into the Ziploc bag, get sealed up. Nothing is worn twice. And then I start fresh the next day. So yes, it does. But because it's in a tent and they can roll up the sides compared to some other multi-vendor events, it's actually pretty good.
Is that just the way is that something that you just have to accept being in the cigar industry? You do a lot of different trade shows that are probably similar to what you did, and then some that have no similarity to what you did in New England. But is it always a closed bombing experience?
I mean, I've never left a cigar event when I felt like, oh, I could rewear this. But there are certainly degrees, and I actually rate them on how bad my hair smells and how much my eyes hurt. The clothes are easy. Oof. But if I can get through an event and my eyes aren't burning, then somebody's done a pretty good job thinking about ventilation, which is always a win. And it's true even in shops. And, like I was up at a shop last week in Florida, and I don't know what system they had in, but it is actually the first time I've ever walked out an event. It was a busy event. There were lots of people smoking inside, and I didn't smell any smoke on my hair, my clothes, anything. So that was an A+, but it goes from there, but yeah, it's kind of part of the game.
All right. So let's move on to the new release here. So as I have told everybody on my show, the most unique thing going in cigars right now is the McAuliffe color series, color line, whatever we're calling it. So we have black out, red out, blue out, purple out, and just recently we've released the green in the color series too. So give us a idea of an experience one can expect if you're going to be smoking the green.
So green is a little bit of a departure from the other four colors. The other four colors all have some shared tobacco in them in the wrapper or binder area. This has some shared tobacco for filler, but it's got a completely unique binder. It is a Mata Fina from Brazil. We actually brought this out because years ago we had a different Mata Fina that was popular, but we didn't make it at our own factory, and we wanted to bring all of our cigars in-house. So we promised people we would bring out a Mata Fina again, and we have. It is not the same blend, but it's a Brazilian Mata Fina, and it's on a binder that I was not familiar with at all. It's called a Negro, the San Andreas Negro, which is a varietal of tobacco in the same way that like a Habano or Sumatra is a varietal, all, grown in the San Andreas Valley. But it's a bit more substantial of a binder, so it gives the cigar a lot of body, both physically, but as well as in smoking it. And so it brings an earthiness to the sweetness of the Mata Fina. It's a great medium-bodied cigar, but super approachable, a lot of flavor. And it's got a Nicaraguan filler. So I think if you smoke it, I think what you'll really kind of experience is both a sweet and almost like a botanical or herbaceousness coming off of that Mata Fina with an earthiness that brings in some sort of savory and kind of hits you in the back of the mouth with that Negro. Are
there a lot of Mata Fina wrapper cigars in the market? I don't know if I've ever heard that name until you mentioned it maybe in July.
It was a very popular. So Mata Fina is something that kind of ebbs and flows, and it tends to hit trend cycles. We're not actually in one of its higher trend cycles right now. We really did this for our ambassadors. Though we're pleasantly pleased with the reaction and how it's selling. But probably, CAO has a cigar that they sell called Brasilia, which is probably one of the more famous Mata Finas out there that's been around for decades. That's kind of the one that sort of stood the test of time. And then at different times, people have had them for sure. But no, it's not popular like a Habano or a Sumatra or even like a Maduro. Things like that are much more prolific wrappers.
From a concept standpoint, is this the green specifically one that takes longer to piece together and get to market versus some of the other ones, or do they all follow the same lifeline?
They kind of follow the same lifeline. It definitely, because we are buying the Mata Fina only for this cigar, it takes a different kind of planning. Whereas, we buy Habano and it's in, 3 of the other 4 in some way, shape, or form, right? And so when we're buying those, we're buying whole fields of tobacco. We're using the entire tobacco plant when it's all said and done. The Mata Fina wrapper is a much more specific thing that we're purchasing from Brazil and just for this cigar. So it's a different supply chain exercise, but not necessarily a longer timeline.
Have you ever thought about, or is there talk of becoming, what do they call it, vertically integrated company where you're doing your own tobacco and then you're making your own cigars with the own tobacco that you're growing?
So there's always a conversation, and we're moving more and more in that direction, though I don't know that we'll ever completely become vertically integrated. When we started out, we were purchasing tobacco from essentially people, what we would call like spot buying. We were buying bales of tobacco at a time based solely on what we need. Now we actually go directly to the farmers ahead of time, and we lease fields, and we basically say, this is, we want a full field of Habano. We want you to, when you plant next year, we put a deposit down on it. That's our field, good or bad. If that field got taken out by weather, bugs, something like that, too bad. So while we don't own the dirt, we essentially lease it. It's almost like owning it. And we're not the ones out cultivating it. We work with farmers who we trust to do the actual growing. But then we bring it in-house and do all the fermenting and everything once it's grown. And so the only big thing that we're not doing, that we really don't touch on a significant way, is boxes. Some manufacturers have their own box building in-house. We do not. Boxes are actually one of the biggest chokeholds in the industry, so I think it could make a lot of sense to do it at some point. We would have to our factory actually, before we bought it, when it was the Davidoff factory, they actually did some box building there, but we've taken that space over for some other things. So if we wanted to get into box building, we would end up needing a different, facility to do it. And then we don't print rings, but I actually don't know. I think everybody gets their rings printed. I don't know anyone who actually does their own printing.
I'm typically the guy with the hot take that is in the vast minority, but I don't understand boxes. Like, give me a bundle. Let me save space in the humidor. I can tell you exactly what happens with every box I've ever had. Right in the trash. Like, I understand there's an aesthetic and, this is an art form and let's capture all the friggin' art and make an arty box and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, I can't think of a bigger way to potentially cut cost out of the cigar. Eliminate the box. I mean, give me a break, give me a bundle, and I'm a happy guy. But obviously, again, I'm in the minority here.
I wish more people thought like you, because
Me too.
The speed in which we could push cigars out, and quite frankly, the price, if we weren't having to put the box in, would be meaningful. But people really, part of the experience for them is that moment of unboxing. And then, a lot of shops like the boxes because it's what they want to display in. Now, interestingly enough, you go to Canada, for instance, you're not allowed a box. You have to sell bundled only. They don't want the opportunity to advertise. It's part of how they've sort of, tried, and you actually have to put paper bands around all your bands. They don't want anything that potentially is eye-catching. So some places have required bundles, but it's not so much from a cost standpoint. It's from they don't want to make smoking look appealing.
How are you supposed to stand out on the shelf if everything's covered? Like, how do I know a Macalla from a Davidoff from a Perdomo?
I mean, you have a plain brown wrapper that has your name on it, but that's it. I mean, when you walk in the humidor, everything essentially looks exactly the same. Which, I mean, we actually don't currently sell into Canada, partly for that reason, just the muscle at this stage of our company to start producing packaging or extra packaging to fit that market. And it is a relatively small market. We just sort of we will get there eventually, but we're not. But yeah, no, it's like walking into a completely unbranded space and you kind of have to know what you're going to smoke or trust the tobacconist.
If you decided top down, hey, Macalla's going away from boxes, does that hurt business substantially, do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of shops that would have a very hard time knowing what to do with us. They are so used to putting the box on the shelf. We have trays, but we even that, I'm surprised how many people don't really want to put a tray in their humidor. There's just this culture of box, the shops use the boxes, and it's interesting because a lot of shops really don't sell a lot of boxes. They primarily just sell single sticks, but they count on those boxes to do the job of helping sell the cigar.
Oof.
And provide them with, a way to display.
Well, this is a whole other conversation that we could dive into.
It's a fascinating conversation because we actually have 2 bundle-only cigars, and you'd be surprised how often they put them in other cigars boxes. We provide them trays. They don't want those. I mean, like how much it can create an issue. And we do it to keep the price points down on those cigars.
I couldn't imagine being a retailer, and the goal is to sell single cigars out of boxes. It would be...
That's a whole other conversation,
smoke this, and then how am I going to... If you like it, again, me in the minority, I hate boxes. If I smoke a cigar, I'm buying a box of those cigars because there's a discount that goes along with buying a box of cigars. I'm not going to buy 10 singles. I'll buy 20 in the box or 25 in the box instead. And some retailers, most of the retailers around me in Ohio, do not have box prices. They look at you like you just asked if you could have a box for free, for crying out loud.
I know. It's one of the things that most surprised me about the business.
The bad business?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people who are really not they think about their business at a very transactional. And on top of that, if you don't train people to buy boxes from you, then for sure you've got people walking in your humidor and they're using you as a sample shop. They're coming in to buy 1 and 2 of things to decide if they like it, and then potentially going online where they can get that box discount and buying from somebody else.
Back on track, and I apologize for the divergence. Green is available at wherever Macalla cigars are being sold at the moment?
Absolutely, yes.
Anything new coming? Not necessarily color-wise, but any new brand coming before the close of 2025?
Not before the close of 2025. Yeah. We've got some things lined out for next year, but this is the last new release of 2025.
How How many new things can you have in a year? Is it depend?
I mean, we've released 2 the last 2 years and 1 the year before, and that's considered a lot unless you're just doing very short special editions. But to be pushing out, to have pushed out 5 portfolio releases, 2 sizes of each, so essentially 10 cigars in the last, let's call it 30 months, is considered a lot. Pretty aggressive. But we wanted to, we always felt that the Color series really wouldn't start to sing until it got to 3. People needed to really understand that they were a series of cigars, and it did make a big difference, which is part of why we've been aggressive.
So you have 5 out now. Is there a cap on how many colors are going to be in there?
We know that we have white and orange coming.
Wow.
And then we're kind of running out of colors. I mean, we know yellow doesn't work very well with the gold accent, so yellow's kind of out, and we don't want to get into these really strange things. So I think after those, we're likely going to start looking to a new next series.
Yeah. How much bad business sense is it if I were to ask Amanda McAuliffe, could you private label the Barbecue Central Show cigars? Does that make sense, or is that a bad idea?
It depends on why. If you want to do it for a marketing thing, sure. But is it going to be a good business proposition? I would really urge you to think about hats, T-shirts,
all the other
mugs,
stuff that won't sell.
barbecue accessories. Cigars are the challenge for anybody with cigars is every state has a different set of regulations. There's different licenses you have to fill out. California this week just announced that we now have to register every single blend that we sell in California and pay to do so. So I mean, now we're having a business conversation of, do we even want to sell to California? Period.
No.
And so every week it's a new thing like that. So I would not encourage anybody to go racing to be in the tobacco business.
Amanda, you are absolute delight. You've suffered through some technical challenges up front, but because you're the professional that you are, you have sung all the way through here until the end. We're encouraging everybody, of course, especially if you're a fan of the car line, to try the green and be on the lookout for white and orange down the line. McAuliffeCigars.com is the place to go. Amanda, appreciate the time, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much.
You got it. What a pro. Everybody remain calm. Everybody worked through the tech issues. Again, I can't believe that anything Microsoft on a web explorer, what is that called? On a web browser is what that fixed it. You gotta be kidding me. Anyway, as I said, we have the green coming into the show here, so samples are going out. For a marketing gimmick, I mean, how much is that going to cost? Jeff, you're smart. You're watching the show. How much does a Toro of a private label cost, you think, like per cigar? Am I looking at a couple bucks per cigar? Can we do a 500 run? I'm not saying no, but then I would also have to buy the bands or the rings. I'm not saying no. I think I have some cigar smokers in the area that would be into doing some of that. Little bootleg sale, if you will. It's a definite not no. We'll leave it at that. I'll keep you informed. All right. We'll recap you on the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. I have a 100% assurity question fun update. So stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Amanda McAuliffe for joining us last segment and change. By the way, I just got a great email from her saying, thank you for being so professional, working through the deal. I mean, I knew we had some good cigar info there, so worth the effort. I mean, if going to Edge wasn't going to fix it, I mean, we would have cut it. We would have came back next week or the week after that, whatever. But I knew the content was there. It was going to be good updates. Had some really good additional conversation I didn't plan on having, so always great to have Amanda on the show. Look forward to having her back on. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes, a host of accessories. Whether you're a beginner or a professional, it's definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central show sent you. So here's the update.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country, nay, the globe. And I am here in Cleveland filing this report. As luck would have it, as I mentioned during the embedded correspondence 100% assurity question, and it has been the question that I have kept in refrain over the last number of months, sounds something along the lines of 100% yes or 100% no, proving that my hypocrisy knows no bounds. I have used the Hardcore Carnivore everyday carry steak knife in the past 30 days, telling people no, say no, and inevitably somebody is saying, yeah, you did. I mean, I can't believe it. I've told people the last 2 months, don't say yes. And then finally last week, I had to come clean. I said, well, you know, gang, I've been telling you, please say no so we can be done with this question, and yet at least one of you remain unrelenting, and it's a evolving who is deciding to be yes, because John has been no right along, and then all of a sudden last week, John's like, I'm the guy this time around. Yes, I think you've used it. And I know somebody's going to say yes next time, even though I told them not to use it. But I came clean, and I said, well, you know, the last 60 days, I was attending a concert with my pal Jason Kaplan from the Howard Stern Show. Shout out to Jason. And we were going into the Goose concert down in the Flats, Nautica Stage, or whatever the hell they call it now. And when Jess Pryles had sent me that everyday carry steak knife, she said, you put it in your pocket. You carry just like a regular pocket knife, except this one specifically dedicated to steak, or if you need a knife to cut your meat. And I couldn't possibly fathom a situation on why I would even need that or carry it nonetheless, other than that it's novel. So, like a good soldier, started putting it in my pocket along with my other big Gerber pocket knife. And then Jason came over, or we met up. I had the everyday carry steak knife in my pocket. So I went from work. Is this what happened? I think I went like right from work downtown, picked up Jason, went out to eat, and then went down to Nautica Stage to watch Goose in concert. And as I was going through the security line, I beeped. I'm like, why am I beeping? You know, is it keys or whatever? No. I had my everyday carry steak knife in my pocket because that's where I put it at 6:30 a.m. earlier that morning. And I always carry a pocket knife, and rarely do I think I need to check my person and make sure that I have my pocket knife out, because you know, sometimes we go to baseball games, sometimes we go to pro basketball games. I would never go to a pro football game in this town. But sometimes you are in an instance where you are going to get wanded, metal detectored, whatever. This was one of those times. I don't think you can go into a concert or into one of those venues anymore and not go through a metal detector, of course, trying to minimize any type of mass casualty right up front. But if I'm putting my knife in my pocket at 6:30 and I don't think about it again, I mean, that's not uncommon for me. because I just carry them all the time. I use them all the time during the day. As I've told Sam the cooking guy many times, if you are a person who does not carry a pocket knife, you should immediately start carrying a pocket knife of some sort. It clips on the inside of your jeans. It doesn't look like a gun. It's not even the same thing. The utilitarian aspect, the amount of times you will be like, oh my God, I can't believe that I am using a pocket knife this much in my everyday life. It has made my life more efficient and easier because I carry a pocket knife. Most of the men that I know or that I am around carry a pocket knife, at least a pocket knife. Use it all the time. How many times have you been in a crowd and somebody says, anybody have a knife? I always have a knife. Now, it's not, if I'm in the crowd, people go, Remp, can I borrow your knife? Yes, of course, because I have it on me. Anyway, strolling through the security line at the Goose concert, and guess what? This guy just went off. What do you got in your pocket, sir? Well, I got my wallet, got my car keys. Oh, I got my everyday carry steak knife, too. I said, is there any way that I can keep that? I'm not going to do anything. I've never been to a Goose concert, nothing like that. I'm not on anything. And if I might just explain for a brief moment, this isn't even a real knife. It's a steak knife that I carry with me just in case I'm in a restaurant and I get a steak or chicken or some other protein, and I would rather use my own knife for the food. It's really not for self-defense. In fact, when I had the creator of this knife on the show, she was telling me about all the ways you could cut various protein with it, and I said, well, or you could use it as a pocket knife and stab somebody in the neck if you had to. And immediately she said, actually, no, Greg, you would never use it in that instance or in that way, only for steak or other proteins. So, sir, please don't take this from me because it's not even a real knife, as said by the creator of this product. And he laughed and said, I now have this. And I said, well, maybe at the end of the show, I can find you, you can give it back to me. And he said, I will not be here by the end of the show. I can guarantee that. And there was the last time I touched and saw the everyday carry steak knife. So, after coming clean with the gents, in horror and shock and amazement that John, of all people, was the one that said, hey, I think this month is the time that Greg has decided to use the everyday carry steak knife. Even though the last 2 months he has said, say no, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to say, yes, you have done it for no good reason, literally no good reason other than he just wants to say that I used it this time for some reason. No good reason, but that's the reason. He just, why does anybody do anything? Because they can. And he was wrong. But now the cat's out of the bag, as I said last week. So on Wednesday night last week, so a week ago tomorrow, I got on the blower. I thumbed out a message to Senorita Jess Pryles, and I said, hey, I don't usually like to be this guy, but let me paint you a picture. Greg went to a concert. Greg got his everyday carry knife taken away by the security guard. The security guard didn't believe me when I said it's not even a real knife because of like what you said. And would you even consider sending me another one? And she proceeded to bust my balls for a few minutes. And then she said, by the way, mate, I don't even need to send you a new one because somebody's already beat you to that. Earlier today, somebody ordered you a replacement everyday carry steak knife. And I said, well, great. Can you tell me who it is so I can give them a shout out? And she said, I can absolutely not do that because they swore me to secrecy. And I said, hey, just between us gals, you can tell me I'm really good at keeping secrets. You should know the secrets that I keep. I'm such a good secret keeper. You would be mind boggled. And she said, well, I'm just going to sit here and curl my hair and paint my nails and not tell you about who bought you this everyday carry steak knife. So whoever bought it for me and shipped it my way, it came, I think, yesterday. And I don't have it to produce to you immediately here. I do have my tactical flashlight that Detective Corey told me to get. Corey doesn't even use he uses a gun, but he recommends a flashlight. So he's like, this is more disarming than a gun. Like, is it? In the dark? Boom! Maybe it is. So this is in my pocket right now. This is a M5 tactical flashlight made by PowerTac. I do not have a link in a Amazon store or anything like that, but that's what it is. The M5 PowerTac tactical flashlight. I'm telling you, this thing is bright as hell. Oh my God, it lights up the whole night sky. I love it. I swear when I put it on that blink mode like I just had it on, if I shined it up at a jetliner at 40,000 feet, they might start coming back around to clear for landing. So anyway, point of this whole long story is this. I'm really good at talking. Number one, I think we can all agree on that. Number two, there is now at least a 50-50 chance that I could use the everyday carry steak knife made by Hardcore Carnivore between like yesterday and when the next embedded correspondence segment is, which is coming up in 3 weeks. So let's say 23 days, 24 days. Between yesterday and 24 days from now, there's a 50-50 chance that because I now re-own or re-have a everyday carry steak knife, and you know I'm going to re-ask that question again because I said last week I'm going to re-ask this question again next month, the odds of me using it, I feel, have to be going up at this point. I feel like I am now almost, it is incumbent upon me now to use the everyday carry steak knife. I feel so much so that not only am I going to use it, potentially, that when I re-ask this question, all 4 of the embedded correspondents are going to say, yes, I used it. That's how much I think things can skew that far in the opposite direction all of a sudden. Solely because one other person decided that they were going to reissue me an everyday carry steak knife through hardcorecarnivore.com. However, there still remains the biggest chance out of that 50-50, which is even, that there's no way I'm going to use it. Why? Because of the same reasons I didn't use it the last many times before it was confiscated. It grosses me out. Barbecue clean is not clean for me. And if it's not clean for me, why am I going to eat with it? I'm just while I was talking, I thought about carving a steak with it, eating the whole steak, and then taking a napkin and just wiping the blade off, retracting it, and sticking it in my pocket. That sounds terrible. How do you even wash that? How do I get it clean? Not barbecue clean, but how I get it clean for the next time. I understand barbecue clean for now, but how do I get it really clean so I'm not thinking about it later? And doesn't that have to happen quickly? Does it disassemble and I can put it in the dishwasher? So many things happening. I'm still feeling like I'm definitely not going to use it. But having it, again, does make me feel a little different. If I was a betting man right now, if this was a horse race, I would be betting all 200 of my dollars on not only me using it in the next 25 days, but all of the embedded correspondents answering this time and this time only, yes, they believe I have used the everyday carry steak knife in the last 30 days. And I asked in the embedded correspondent email chain that we have going on a semi-frequent basis, I sent him a picture. I said, who do I thank for this? John said, I wish it was me. It was not him. Doug said, hey, great idea. Not him. Matt Osman gave me the shoulders up emoji, like, I don't know, but he's starting to feel pretty good about it, but it wasn't him. No reply back from Rusty. Rusty's very busy, so I don't think it was him either. I do have a good idea who it might be outside of the embedded correspondence segment, but again, I was also looking to buy it myself in replacement. So I had it so I could at least have the option of wanting it, because the last 60 days, there were no options. I didn't have it. By the way, 2025 Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame origin stories, as I have them booked currently. Next week, in hour number 1, you will have a Andy Husbands. And in hour number 2, you will have a Emily Detweiler. Wow. By the end of next week, we will have 3/5 of the embedded of the Guest Hall of Fame origin stories knocked out. We will do the third Tuesday of the month with Wes Wright in the first hour. He's got no choice. I have not heard, after I alerted everybody, Emily, Andy, Wes, Travis, Melissa Cookston, I have not heard from Melissa Cookston at all. Not even a thank you, not even this is cool, not even a automatic reply, nothing. So we'll continue to reach out to her. But by the end of the third week of this month, we will have completed 4/5. I think this is the quickest we've ever gotten through origin stories, and I don't believe we have ever booked back-to-back origin stories on the same show. So looking forward to that with Andy Husbands and Emily Detweiler. Maybe we can do a mashup at the top of the hour. Well, that sounds like a gas. All right, let's wrap up this first hour before we get to Travis Clark. So stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Yeah, I'm just going to do this now, get it over with, and that way we have a very podcasty feel second hour. This portion of the show being brought to you by the aforementioned McAuliffe Cigars. Step into the world of McAuliffe Cigars, where each blend is a chapter and a grand tale of craftsmanship and passion. We have the McAuliffe Black, the McAuliffe Blue, the McAuliffe Red, the former newest one, McAuliffe Purple, and now the newest one, the McAuliffe Green, which has a Mata Fina wrapper and a Brazilian Negro binder. Both I have never heard of. I've never heard of a Mata Fina wrapper. I have never heard of a Negro binder. Although according to Amanda, the Negro binder gives it body. So looking forward to trying that. Also, I got a bundle, because that's how they sell them, a bundle of, I think it's called McAuliffe Reserve or Reserva. And it's the same blend that the Gomez Sanchez family made for Al McAuliffe when they originally met, when he said, hey, I want 1,000 of these cigars. This was the blend. I'm super excited to try those. I'm not giving those out as samples at all. I'm keeping those. But I'm getting more black and more red. I'll get the green and then the reserves for me, because I'm a star. We are pointing to the second hour where you'll find an origin story with Travis Clark. Professional Libations, stick around. We'll be right back.